The Dice Tower, Episode 3, originally aired May 18th, 2005.
Welcome to The Dice Tower, Episode number 3. This is part of our Classic series, in which we look back at older episodes of The Dice Tower with better sound quality and comments. We'd like to thank Days of Wonder for sponsoring this episode of the Dice Tower podcast. Days of Wonder has brought us all some of our favorite board games, such as Ticket to Ride, Battle Lore, Memoir 44, Shadows over Camelot, and Pirates Cove. To learn more about any of their excellent games, visit them at www.daysofwonder.com. And now, here's your host, Tom Vasel.
All right, folks, welcome to episode number 3. As I said in the intro, this was originally aired May 18th, 2005, and wow, as I listen to this show, it's just amazing how far we've come. My wife says I sound boring, and I do sound boring to myself, but I probably sound boring even now. But I have learned a little bit over the years, and that is to be more expressive when talking into the microphone. And you have to learn just to talk as if I'm talking to people straight in front of me. As you can tell, what we've done in this episode is we're still recording at our church. When we record this in our church, it's right outside a major train line. And so in the very beginning of the episode, you'll hear a train go by. We still didn't know how to pause recording at this point in time, so Joe falls out of the chair in one point, and the microphone lines get all tied up, and we still didn't know how to stop it, so we just kept moving along and see what happens. This show also marks the first letter from Walt O'Hara, who became quite a staple of these early episodes. Haven't heard so much from him lately, but back then, once he started in episode 3, we started to hear from him a lot then. Also, a really big focus of these early shows was our question times. I'm inclined to think that it was really too long. We kind of rambled, but these questions just gave us a chance to talk and talk and talk, and that's what we did, and we had a good time. But nowadays our question time has shortened up considerably. Sometimes we don't even have time for questions on the show, and of course we don't get as many questions as we would like these days. This was also our first attempt at straight-up humor. Nowadays our humor is provided by Eric Summer, who does a tremendous job at it. And I thought that we had a pretty good idea in this episode, but you'll have to listen for yourself. But I promise you in future episodes it only goes down from here. And we also had an off-topic segment of this episode. I thought maybe people would like to hear about other things other than games. And you know what? They don't. I mean, maybe in passing, but most people just want to hear us talk about games. So without further ado, let's get on to the third episode of The Dice Tower. And in fact, the first one in which it was actually called The Dice Tower. Well, hello, this is Tom Vasel.
And I'm Joe Steadman.
And we apparently can't get our mics to work yet.
That's all right, Tom. I still love you.
Well, welcome to The Dice Tower.
Yes, The Dice Tower.
I guess that's our new name.
I like that name.
So far, we've changed it every
episode.
Show? This is our third show with third name. Yeah. So we're doing pretty good there. But we welcome you. The Dice Tower is a show about games, all different games, tabletop games, miniature games, especially board games.
Mostly board games, but we do war games. And
Joe
Euro
would like
games.
to say mostly war games. I would like to say mostly
Euro games. Or German games, or whatever you want to call them. Some people call them German games. Whatever. Yeah.
Just games in general. Good way to interact with people. Get off that computer and play some games.
You can listen to Tom's opinions, and you can hear the truth from me.
Well, we'll get to that, and I'll try to not yell that loud into the microphone ever again. Okay.
Oh my.
Well, we're going to, I don't know, it's been a good week of gaming, so...
And they get those cool little cartoon pictures of you guys. When am I going to get a cartoon picture of me? That's what I want to know.
I don't really think my cartoon picture's too cool.
I
think it's rather unflattering.
Yeah, it looks just like you, though.
Well, my wife says the same thing, and I'm starting to wonder just how unflattering I look in real life.
You're not as good looking as you think you are.
I don't think.
Speaking of good looking, I got to see a picture of Dirk and Aldi today.
Yes. Well, I've already seen pictures of them.
Dirk didn't look anything like what I thought he would look like.
He looks like a mugger.
He looked like one of the, never mind. He just looked like one of my dad's old buddies from the shop. I don't know. He sounded different.
For those of you who are new, Dirk and Aldi are the runners of the www.boardgamegeek.com, the biggest board game site on the
They're
internet.
probably the best. Well, Concept's pretty good too, but they're different market, different audience.
Speaking of which, we'd like to welcome our listeners from Consim World, from the miniatures page, from BoardGameGeek.com, and from wherever else you may have wandered in. If you want to hear us talk more about the games you're interested in, then send in questions, because
Sure.
I looked through our questions we got, and they're almost all about war games. Because the Consim World people are on the ball, and all my friends are slacking.
See, no, Tom thought he was important. See what it was, you know?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We're getting pretty excited. The school year here is coming to a close.
Amen to that.
And, well, there's just lots of different things going on. This past week, I got a lot of games played. I believe we played some games, and I won a couple of them.
Oh, won. You won one. I won more, though. I think I won more than you. No.
Well, you won Candemare. And
What was that game called?
Candemare, the First Settlers.
Yeah.
And then we, Kablamo. Oh, you won Kablamo too, right?
Yeah.
Well, and what else did we play after that?
What did you win?
We played I won Through the Desert.
Oh, Through the Desert.
The
Yeah.
game of
you took
true
advantage.
skill.
You took advantage of a newbie, and as much as I wanted to convince, I should have just told him what to do.
Well,
just let you walk all over.
I don't
the
know
place.
that would have helped him out at all. But, folks, I did win Through the Desert by a very, very large majority.
Those
and I'm
pastel
very
camels
pleased
were
about it.
distracting me. I couldn't focus. I
Well,
was just thinking candy.
It's still a good game. I also bought a CCG this week, Marvel Versus.
Ooh, crack.
Well, my goal with CCGs is I buy a couple starters and some boosters, and that's all I buy most of the time. I've occasionally gotten sucked in.
How many CCGs do you own?
Maybe 10, 12, but I don't own a whole lot of each one. Just I try to treat them as a board game. And the Marvel Versus game is interesting. I'm not sure I like it as much.
Who designed that?
I don't know the designer off the top of my head.
Was it Mike?
No, I don't think it was Mike,
Mike Fitzgerald.
but I don't remember who it is. But I remember it came out last. Origins was a pretty big deal there. Origins is, only a little bit over a month away?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
And we be prepared. Eventually, when the summer's over, we'll give you our recap of Origins. But I know even closer in a episode or two, we will talk about what to see at Origins.
Yeah, well, we're both going to be there, and we'll be in different sides of Origins in the convention center. I'll be mostly in the war room, hanging out with all the old grog nerds and playing games, and Tom will be over there eating cheese. Hanging out with all the Euro gamers, and
I'll be all over the place, getting news and trying to hide from all the war gamers.
Don't you get a press pass at this Origins or something like that?
Yeah, I actually managed to pull one of those off.
Hey, maybe I should get a press pass.
Well, you have to write 100 reviews.
100 reviews?
Today I wrote my 300th review, and I don't know, is that a milestone?
It's the factory.
Factory. Bob Arhouse, our friend, calls them 60-second reviews. He says I look at the game for 60 seconds and then write the review.
Probably more truth to that than
no, that is not true.
No, I know, because you always make me play these games.
So what was the best game you played this week? I want to say Through the Desert because I won it, but I think that Candemare, the First Settlers, was my favorite.
It was a fun game. I just both me and Bob, the other player, agreed it had great mechanics, and I really liked the whole card system where you flipped, where you could move, where you go with the directions and all that. But it was just kind of left me hanging at the end. I don't know.
Well, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. Candemare, the First Settlers, is Claus Tuber's latest edition from the Catan universe, and we're going to talk more about the Catan universe later on in the show.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of good old Catan. That's where I'm going to retire one day.
I think I want to go there now.
I'm going to retire there, and I'm going to take it over with military conquest.
Well, we are not getting hundreds of questions. I think we get, 5 questions? But 5 questions is still a lot of questions, and we also pulled some random questions off the internet, off Geek Questions, and so we'll answer those. So the first question here is for Joe. It's from Ted Kim. And Ted Kim says, Joe, from your guys' posts, it sounds like most Koreans are really into the social aspect of games, and so probably go for Euro or lighter stuff. I'm going to assume he means from my post. But anyway, but have you found many Korean war gamers? Is the Korean war game scene different than in the U.S.? For example, is translation into Korean a big deal, or are possible future peninsula conflicts a taboo topic?
All right, well...
I like how people always ask one question and it turns into 10.
Yeah, well, let me just say, definitely gaming in Korea is a social thing. Only in Korea, I would think, can you go into a board game cafe and you see young adults, teens, older adults sitting around playing these these crazy games, and they have these big mallets. Whoa!
These big mallets, they're like big rubber hammers, and in America, people run around and hit each other in the head with them for fun, and that's what happens. The losers of the game get
technical. We are experiencing technical difficulties. All right, we're back on the air.
the losers of the game get hit by the winners of the game. In fact, sometimes when we're sitting at a table, we'll have someone come up to us and
they have these big
they'll
mallets.
ask us to hit them in the head for them because we're the Americans there.
Yeah, the total stranger walk up, hit him in the head with a mallet, and everyone laughs and claps. And if you don't hit him in the head with the mallet, then they hit each other on the wrist. Like the kid games that you play. But anyway, gaming is a very social thing. But I have found a few gamers in Korea that like the war games, especially Shin Yu, a good friend of Tom and I, probably the best Korean gamer I've met, and I'm sure there's others, but he's one of the well-known Korean gamers. Wouldn't you say he's probably the most or one of the most well-known Korean gamers here in the country?
Well, he will argue and
he's
say
very
that,
humble. He's a very humble man.
He'll argue and say that he's not, but he translates many of the games.
Yeah, he has contracts, I think, with some of the companies, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he runs his own website, boardwalk.co.kr, I believe.
Yeah, boardwalk.co.kr, right.
If you can read Korean, you can go there. He also has an English half of that page that gives some news about different things.
And he just posted a geek list today. I already commented on it. But anyway, Shin and I, we played some good war games. He went out and he bought the new Rumble in the Desert. We played that. We've played a lot of different war games. He likes war games, but I think that Shin is probably the exception to the rule. As far as the Peninsula, and the Korean War being a taboo topic, Shin actually, I think he's showed an interest in some of the games about the Korean War and whatnot. But I'm not really, I don't know.
I think though that Shin is an anomaly.
Yeah.
When we go to board game cafes, I've yet to ever see a war game being played,
But they have them on the shelves.
With the exception of fantasy-style games, possibly.
Well, you had Axis and Allies D-Day at that one.
But I didn't see anyone playing it.
You were playing it.
Well, but I thought you said that wasn't a war game. Oh, here we go. All right. So what about the translation into Korean?
I don't know. I mean,
I would just answer that and say basically translation to Korean just requires interest by a Korean who speaks English, pretty much. Is it true that the majority of war games are in English?
Yes, the majority of war games are in English. That's just more of it's more of an English-speaking market between America and England, and but then in Korea they put us to shame because most Koreans speak some English. I mean, the majority. It's not like Americans. We're monolingual.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And so there's a lot of German games that are translated into Korean many times before they're translated in English, just because most of the games in Korean are very social. They like to play Bonanza, but there is a hardcore group of gamers, and I mean I see them, and they have games from Essen, like 3 or 4 days after Essen's over.
J1 is another one of our good friends.
I just cannot fathom how fast they get the stuff.
Right.
So here's another question for Joe. So apparently Joe's all the questions.
Tom just admitted they like me more than they like you.
All right. He says,
it's
hi,
like
Joe.
They like Dirk more than they like Aldi.
Hi, Joe. Walt O'Hara here. I'm on Consum World, top blog of the blogs page, and Board Game Geek as Hotspur. Anyway, he says, it's obvious that you're going to Origins with your sidekick.
That must be you, Tom.
I don't know. And then he wants to know if you'll be at the World Board Gaming Championship.
I would really, really like to go to WBC. I think it's in Pennsylvania. And if I can fit it into my schedule this summer, I'm going to go.
No, he can't because it's during our school year.
No, I guess I can't. You know what? I knew that. I was just reading the email about it from Mr. Don Greenwood today. And no, I would love to go, but I cannot go to WBC. Can fit in one convention a year, and that's going to be Origins this year.
I heard it's a great place to play board games.
Our friend Bob has been telling us it's the best place to go.
That's what he said.
If you want to play games, then you go to WBC.
Well, maybe someday when I've got enough free time, maybe I'll go. But for now, I'll take what I get, and that's Origins, and so I'm pretty pleased about that.
And my sidekick is going to be going along, too. Right, Tom?
I'll be there, I think, but I'm wondering who your sidekick is. Are you taking your wife?
No, she's not going. That's an interesting thing. Why don't men bring their wives to these conventions?
Look, I offered.
I offered my wife too, and she said, "Well, what would I do?" And I said, "Well, you can play war games." And she she was like, yeah. I said, well, you can go play with the real games and the games that you like. And she didn't seem to like that too much.
Maybe I should be speaking in a different voice so people can tell us apart.
Yeah, people really think we sound alike.
Maybe online we do. I
should talk like I'm. Never mind.
Waldo O'Hara says, please announce or send me information on how to get into that Werewolf game you were talking about. I love Werewolf and have even made up my own cards for it. Best party game ever.
Now, the Werewolf phenomenon on Board Game Geek is quite interesting. A lot of the con sim guys that are listening and the guys on the miniature page, just go to Board Game Geek. If you're not a member, just make yourself an account and do a search in the forums. Where is it at under the forums? It's under the
it's under the PBEM, play by email.
Yeah, play by email, and you'll see many games and people list openings for games all the time. I just started a new game. I'm in the Lighthouse game. Once again, if you're in that game, I am not a werewolf. I promise.
And I don't even know if he's a werewolf or not.
Yeah.
He didn't bother telling me this time.
But I played a game of Werewolf in my class today, Tom.
Yeah, I heard they were raving about it in my class.
Instead of using werewolves, I said that they were all students, and that 3 students were actually teachers in disguise with like Scooby-Doo mask, and that every night the teachers would give a kid a detention, and so they had to try to find out who the teachers were during the day, and I made Mr. Steadman, the guy the student who was going to play me, the alpha wolf, because I'm big and strong. So anyway.
Big and strong has a lot of different meanings. Okay, the next letter, I did not please to get it, but it's from Paul Jordan. He sent it to me and sent me a link to the Hasbro website. And I'm not going to read this whole thing here, but I'll read the first paragraph. It's about the game Yahtzee. It says,
Tom's favorite game.
Yahtzee was invented by a wealthy Canadian couple to play aboard their yacht. Whenever friends were invited aboard, they were taught how to play the yacht game. Their friends enjoyed the game so much they all wanted copies of their own, and eventually they changed the name of the game to Yahtzee. So apparently I was wrong and Joe was right.
What was that? One more time.
But you know what? Here's the deal. We all know that Hasbro has made up the story about Clarence, about the inventor of Monopoly, and how that was disproven. No, it was disproven. You can go read it. They proved it in court, all the way up to the Supreme Court.
All right.
So if that story's wrong, how do we know that this one might also not be wrong?
So you want like photographic evidence, right?
No, I just think it's stupid to name it.
Now, who said it? Paul Jordan. Thank you so much, Paul Jordan, for making Tom eat his words.
Paul Jordan, don't send any more questions in.
No, sure.
Actually, no. We love to get feedback. Usually, we get lots of feedback. Some of it we listen to. Some of it we say, whatever. We don't care what they say.
All right, moving right along. Let's see. We got a question for Tom. It says, do game designers and publishers give you all the games you review? I think, and he put in parentheses, I think you mentioned being poor. This is from John J.C. Good question.
Free copies. Okay, I always am careful. I hate to talk about getting free board games from different places. When I first started writing reviews, obviously, I didn't get free copies because no one knew who I was.
That's for sure.
Now that I've written a couple, I get a few free copies.
I guess
when I say a few, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 a week.
He gets a lot. But it's just like remember we was at Origins, Tom, and we were talking to Eric from Days of Wonder. He was saying how reviews and the word of mouth is one of the best ways of advertising for these small companies, and Well, I would like to publicly say thank you to the companies who do publish review copies. Not every company does. There's a couple companies. I mean, I won't mention. I wish they would because I love their games so much. But maybe they know that and then they think he'll just buy them anyway. But Days of Wonder and a couple other of the larger companies send me every game they make, and lots and lots and lots of small publishers send me games. Sure, the independent guys.
Now, when I get a free game,
also didn't get their name out there. I mean,
yeah, but when I get a free game, it's a struggle for me to make sure that that doesn't slant my opinion. And I so hate to write a bad review.
Oh, Tom, no, come on.
Of an independent publisher's game.
Oh, okay.
Well, because, sometimes they put all their stuff into that work. In fact, I have a game currently which it's just bad. And I'm really not pleased with it. So I'm actually going to email the lady who made it. She's a mother of 7 and
What's better? No publicity or poor publicity?
I think
that's a good question. I mean, if the famous Tom Vasel did a review of my game and it really stunk, at least my name of my game would be out on the internet. And how many places do you post? Like 20? I mean,
well, I don't want to don't start painting this aura of me, but I I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe negative publicity is better than no publicity. I mean, Jeff Witterich from Card Chest, he likes the negative publicity, apparently.
Right.
I guess it sells some games. But look at Time Control. The negative reviews of Time Control killed the game.
Sure.
And so...
Well, the game stunk.
So what I'm going to do with this lady is I'm going to email her and tell her that I'm not very pleased with the game. And if she still wants me to write the review, I will. If not, I'll just forget it. Because I doubt very few people who are listening to us would have even looked at it anyway.
Sure. And the place where the games really come in is at these conventions, man. When they see Tom Vasel, game reviewer.
Okay, I'm going to have to crack my mug here over Joe's head.
They see you coming, man. It's like, oh, you could see these guys diving back into the storehouse to grab out their games just to give Tom.
Now listen. I don't get enough free games.
No,
Moving along.
Well, seriously, I wonder if the war game companies can kind of get on the ball here. I would love to write some hey, war game companies, if you're listening, I would love to write you some reviews.
Well, as much as people say, oh man, he gets all these free games, it is a decent amount of work to write the reviews.
Well,
I do put a lot of effort into that.
I'm just joking with you, but
it's kind of like
the games go to a good cause
job.
because not only do you review them, but then you use them in the game club at school, and how many new board gamers have been born just in your class?
And we have yet to see what happens there.
Yeah, and I've gotten some free games myself in the past couple years, but I've mostly have received my free games because I use these games, the war games, with the soldiers that I run the ministry with. And at the conventions, I'll kind of share what I do, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes that'll be something that the company would be interested in, and supporting the military and whatnot. And hey, it does everybody a favor. So hey.
This episode of the Dice Tower is sponsored by Days of Wonder, who has just recently released 4 new Specialist Pack expansions for their epic fantasy adventure game, Battle Lore. Learn how to add more goblins, dwarves, and medieval weapon specialists into your diet at www.battlelore.com.
We have some random questions now that I pulled off of Board Game Geek, just pulled some up and just to see what happens, and here's what we got. I mean, I did edit out the really stupid questions.
Are any of these questions from Mr. Cranky?
No, actually they aren't.
I posted a bunch of game questions, and I posted like 50
I think he commented on every single one, didn't he? we actually thought about making a minute segment in our show where all we did was insult Mr. Cranky, but I noticed on some of his threads lately, he's really being a nice guy, and
he's been. Yeah, I'm nervous that he's setting us up for something.
He just seems to be really nice nowadays.
No, but I posted a bunch of questions about blank versus blank, like Tom versus Joe, or Joe, red shirts versus stormtroopers, and I thought they were pretty good questions. But I've gotten some. It's funny. You look at the way people respond to the questions that you post. And some people, why don't they just hit don't answer? They got to put in some smart remark, try to be witty, and, it just ticks you off. I mean, why can't they just,
Now we're in a section called Joe's Rant.
No, I mean, oh, wow. I got to calm down. Calm down. Anyway, I was just looking at some of the questions I posted, and it's just give me a break.
Here's the first question.
Probably a teenager. It's probably a kid. Some of these people who are posing as...
All right.
Anyway,
all right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Calm down. Joe, drink your milk.
All right, I'm drinking some water. Go ahead.
The first question is, what's your favorite in the Cosmos 2-player line? And I believe there's almost 20 games in that line now.
Crocodile Pool Party, hands down.
I agree. Best game, actually.
No,
Crocodile Pool Party is one. I gave it away.
Now, wasn't there another version of that came out before that was about guys trying to get in a life raft or something? The Last Man in a Life Raft?
I believe I saw a post to you about that on one of the websites.
Yeah.
Where the guy said it had a different theme, and he actually quite enjoyed it. I think he was maybe
I should try
slightly insane, but
I'd like to try it with that theme because the crocodile theme was kind of.
All right, but what is your real favorite?
I like Hellas. The confrontation in it is great.
I wanted to like it. I do like it. I don't love it. I say it's merely okay. My favorite is probably Lost Cities, just because of the sheer popularity.
Lost Cities is fun, but it's a woman's game. I mean, no offense, guys and girls, but it's my wife can kick my tail on it, and I just don't want to play it.
The views of Joe do not necessarily represent the views of this station.
Well, I mean, come on. How many lists? I mean, we talked about this last week, too.
Yeah, we did. So, moving on. The all-time best Avalon Hill, SPI, etc.
Yeah, Tom,
style
what is your best?
Is what?
Come on, Tom, you answer this one
I don't
first.
have one, and I'll give my answer. It's Gettysburg.
Go right now and type in Avalon Hill.
No, listen. No, he said War Game. If it was just Avalon Hill, I could give a game. But he said War Game. And so I'm just going to say Gettysburg, and I don't even have a good reason for it, except I owned Gettysburg as a kid, and I sat there and read the rules, and I thought, why did they make charts for everything here? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well.
How about you? Yours is probably
Well, I
easier.
took the question more literal. It's because I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy. I'm a literalist, you know. And it says the all-time best Avalon Hill / SPI. So my favorite Avalon Hill game from the old days is Battle for Germany, the old classic. I'm sorry, Battle for Germany is the SPI game. 24-Hour Miracle. And my favorite Avalon Hill game is probably Diplomacy, the original Diplomacy.
And next question says, would you rather game regularly, playing games you dislike, or not game at all? Would you rather play games all the time that you didn't like, or not game at all? I think Joe and me disagree on this one, but let me see what his answer is.
I would not play at all.
Would you really? Okay, then we don't. I would rather not play than play games I dislike.
Well, then again, let me think about this.
Because I remember you saying specifically that you would play games.
I do play games with you quite a bit.
Well,
and
I think you get.
I don't like.
I think you get a lot out of the experience.
I go for the fellowship.
Well, you know, maybe I'm a 30-70%. 30% of the time, I think I'm willing maybe to play a game I don't like, with some exceptions. Like I will not play Diplomacy. I will not play certain games that I know I will hate.
I'm a 70-30, I think, because no one ever wants to play the games I like, you know?
You know?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is this the Canadian thing here?
See, I don't know.
All right. And now we're into the next section of the show where Joe talks about a soldier of the week, and it's all yours, Joe.
All right. Last week I talked about Brian, and no one, you know, I was depressed. No one sent any interest. No one sent me an email request for his address or anything, but so I guess no one's going to get any cookies. Brian, sorry, you're not going to get any cookies, Brian. Anyway, this week I want to talk about John. John is another guy that comes out to my house on Sunday afternoons. John Bauman, he's a lieutenant. Ooh, we're moving up. Last week it was a private. This week's a lieutenant. Shows you that I work with all the different ranks. He's in the air defense. Those are the guys that, during the Cold War, they had a job. Nowadays, I'm not really sure what they do. I guess they shoot down Scud missiles, but during the Cold War, they were there to shoot down enemy airplanes. And let's see here. He's an XO. He's executive officer of a battery. He looks 40K. He's engaged, and he loves Keebler cookies.
That's true. I seem to meet him all the time.
He's from Indiana, Valparaiso, up there by the border of Michigan. He's a good guy. He goes back to state shortly. He's looking forward to it. He's been fun. The guy he comes over and he can ride the bus. There's a bus that goes from different army bases in Korea from one base to the other. It's about a half an hour, 45-minute drive. He could take the bus for free. But John's the kind of guy that will pay $20 to ride in a taxi.
Just to play games?
Just to play games. Now, isn't that devoted? I'd asked him some stuff about him. So he told me about in college he was the head poobah or the Grand Master or something of his gaming group and all that. But he's a gamer. He's a war gamer. He really likes miniatures, 40K, the old naval stuff. He likes naval gaming. He has a good time. I got some pictures of him on my website. So if you want to see what John looks like and put a face to the name, there you go. That's it. And that's John.
All right. Well, we're having good times around here. Star Wars is coming up soon.
Ooh.
What were you just telling me about Star Wars? Oh, Joe has this. We have these long debates about
Star Wars.
old Star Wars versus new Star Wars and good Star Wars versus bad Star Wars. Joe is a horrible movie critic.
Oh, come on.
He doesn't like any movie if he can't find realism in it somehow.
Because, okay, we're like what we're talking about today, the Hulk. That was the stupidest movie ever made.
Well, no, okay, now see, exaggeration right there. The stupidest movie ever made is Mortal Kombat 2, and you know that.
Mortal Kombat 2 wasn't as bad as the Hulk.
La 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 la.
When the Hulk runs out there and he grabs that tank by the barrel and he's swinging around his head like some kind of like a mace or something. That's so, I was a tanker. That would never happen.
Comic book movie.
So it doesn't matter comic or not. You can't grab a tank gun by the barrel, an Abrams tank, and swing it. The barrel would pull out.
But wasn't it cool?
62 tons or whatever.
But wasn't it cool?
If it was a computer game, yeah.
See, and then this just goes right into our Star Wars thing. I think Star Wars is cool. Joe says, where did all the robots go between Episode 3 and Episode 4?
Right. That's okay. That was my point. I mean, you look at the technology of these new movies, and then you look at the technology of the old movies, which are supposedly set place in the future, and it's like they had this. They're like in the the Dark Ages or something. Where's all this technology and all this stuff?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. But I can watch it for the entertainment value.
I don't care. Here we go.
By the way, episode 2 is better than episode 1, and that's for someone out there who had a debate about this I was listening to.
I would...
And I'm not going to mention any names because we're not like trying
I'm going to have to agree with you. I liked episode 2 better than episode 1.
Yeah, the whole knee jar or whatever. Oh,
All right. My mini review for this time is Lineage II, the board game. In fact, that was my 300th review. You can read it online, so that will give you a more detailed description. I was really interested in Lineage II because it's a Korean board game. We went to the store. I was looking at different board games, and I said, hey, this one's in Korean. That looks interesting. I know nothing about it, so I bought it, and I took it home, opened it up, and I was just amazed. The wooden pieces inside, it looked just like a German game. But the tiles, the monster tiles inside were a little thin, but other than that, tremendous components. Played it. It was a lot of fun. Basically, each person controls a character. You have your little character board, and on that character board you can add items and equip yourself like an RPG, and you're running around this board. You roll die, you move, and that sounds bad. You roll die and move, but you land on an object or a monster. You fight the monster by rolling colored 8-sided dice. On these 8-sided dice are different colored dots, and each monster needs a certain combination of colors to kill him. And if you roll that combination, you kill him. If you kill a monster, you turn it over, and you get money from it, or you get a weapon, and that weapon gives you advantages when fighting future monsters. Now, that in itself would be interesting, but there's these castles that lay on the track. If you land on a castle, you take it over. But if someone else lands on that castle that you control, you then fight over the castle, and you send in troops, and everyone at the table has to join a side, offense or defense. They put a card secretly down, they turn it over.
Kind of like Cosmic Encounter.
Right, it reminded me very much of Cosmic Encounter, and then you also decide how many armies you'll send secretly. But every army in that battle is going to be gone. The losers' armies are killed, the winners' armies just go home because they're tired. I don't understand that concept, but it does make you think twice before you send armies in. So the battles themselves are pretty interesting in that regard. The more armies you send. But where do you get these armies from? It's because when you run around and you're hunting monsters down, when you find these monsters and you kill them, you get weapons and stuff, and with those weapons you sell them for money, and that money is what you use to buy the armies. And the game is not your great everything ties together Euro game. It feels much more maybe perhaps like an American game, RPG, but with some German mechanics to it. I really liked it. I thought it wasn't the greatest game ever.
It looks nice.
But everyone I played it with really loved it. The teenagers ask for it all the time. Well, Joe is my harshest critic. I just didn't get a chance to try it with you. But I did play this one several times with many different people, and not a single person disliked it yet. I recommend it. Now, finding a copy will be hard since they're sold, I think, exclusively in Korea.
I'm willing to give them. I'm willing to sell these for
I guess we could
small
use them
markup.
I think we could use them as trading fodder, maybe, right?
Trading fodder. That's a good idea.
So if you're really, really interested, I would recommend looking on the internet. I have not added any pictures online yet.
Lazy.
But our friend Shin Yu, who we were talking about earlier, did the translation for the company. And so it's a pretty interesting game. So that's my review of the week, and I give it a thumbs up.
Oh, Siskel and Ebert. I'm sorry, Ebert and Robert or whatever.
No, you don't have any thumb to give it, though.
All right, my mini review is a war game, but it's a very light war game. It's called Sergeants East Front. It's a game put out by LostBattalion.com. It's www.lostbattalion.com. It's a very light war game. It's kind of like it's like Squad Leader Light. It's kind of in the whole ogre tradition, if you're familiar with that. The thing that's the best about this game, it's $6.95. You know, you can't beat that. Even if the game stinks and you can buy it, then you can get on the internet and tell me that I'm stupid because I like this game. But it's a really good game. It's got it comes in an envelope like the old SPI. You know, the envelope. It's got 2 dice, a thing of counters. There's no CRT in this. You know, if you know what a CRT is, there's no CRT. It's very simple. You roll off against each other, adding plus or minus your modifiers. If the defender wins the roll off, nothing happens. The attacker wins, and then you can. If you don't double the defender's score, then the attacker has to retreat, and the defender retreats. If you double his score, then you destroy the defender. It's very simplistic, but it's expandable. It's if you go to their website, you'll see they've got many different missions and maps that you can download. They've come out with a second edition of the game, very, very cheap, very, very good, highly, highly recommended. It's man-to-man combat. One counter equals one man. My only criticism of the game, I think, would be that I wish they would have put. I guess I really liked Ambush, and so I wish on the counters, instead of putting people on the counters like in Ambush or other traditional style games, they put the weapon. So if you look at it, a basic infantryman would have a rifle. It would be a silhouette of a rifle or a silhouette of a submachine gun or whatnot. So other than that, I think it's a great game. And I think even on the Geek they have someone went and made some new counters that you can download. But anyway, that's my review of the week.
Well, something really exciting happened to us the other day. We had just finished playing Candemir, the first Settlers, and we were talking about how it was the latest Settlers game, and the phone rang.
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone, and it was Claus Tooper. I was so excited. And he said, Tom and Joe, I heard your show. You guys have lots of good ideas.
He called us in Korea.
He said, I want you to help me design the latest Catan games. And so we said, hey, we've been thinking about this. We had our games ready.
We had the themes ready, man.
So here is a list of, I believe this is 18 different new Catan games that you can expect to see on the market. Disclaimer, this is all a joke.
No, shh.
Oh, sorry.
You're rude. We're supposed to say that afterwards.
Real. Okay. The first one is Panzers and Catan. It's exciting. It's actually just an expansion for the basic game. But what it does is it brings you lots of different tanks. Now, mostly you have to realize they're different counters, and they usually use a little box with an X in it or a circle in it. But basically, is that robber bothering you? Take it over. Are you tired of that other opponent having their settlement next to the gold resource? Take it from them.
Does this come with a CRT?
I don't even know what that means, but I think so. I think so.
Oh, really? Well, that was Tom's first game design that he's going to offer to Mr.
Tuber.
Mr. Tuber, brain block there. All right, the first one I'm going to offer him is Catan, the CCG, and then in parentheses, and expansions.
Of course.
The object of the game is to build a deck of cards that duel against the opponent's deck. The first player to reduce his opponent's village to 0 resources wins the game.
Ooh, is there rares?
There is definitely rares. Now, the rare is wood. If you can get the wood resource, oh man, and high dollars.
So in this game, you can actually trade away your cards.
Yes, it's a tradable, collectible, expandable card crack game.
Well, we all know that will make a lot of money.
Yeah, actually, I got a call last night from Mike Fitzgerald. He's interested in getting on board with this.
Oh, my next game is Catan Asone. This is the ultimate expansion because everyone knows that Settlers of Catan has hundreds of expansions and Carcassonne has hundreds of expansions. Why not combine them? Of course, it comes with tiles that are half squares and half hexagons, so you can put them together, and it's amazing. If you trade resources and
is
you
it still
build
as
cities.
Boring as Kazan?
Joe, what was your next game?
Oh, I got Catanese Diplomacy. Now, this is the ultimate in backstabbing, and then it's got a quote here I wrote. It says, "Will he really give me the 2 cards he promised me in trade? I guess I'll have to wait until after we read the orders out loud."
I refuse to play it.
Come on! Wouldn't you love to promise me 2 wood and 1 gold, and then only give me 1 hay?
Oh, so basically you're saying we're trading, but you have to write your trades down.
You write your trades down, and then everyone reveals their trades at once.
In your 15-minute turns.
15 minutes. Everyone moves simultaneously.
And so then I can go in the room with someone else and say, let's get Joe.
Let's get the blue player. All right, come on, Red. Let's get together with Green, make an alliance.
Well, maybe I would play that. All right, Fortress Catan. Fortress Catan, the communist nations from around the world, especially the red armies, the blue armies, and the yellow armies,
right.
They're surrounding us. I'd rather be dead than red. Stop the red scare. Save Catan. Save Catan now. This game would have probably worked a little bit better back in the 1980s, but hey, we're making all these retreads.
Wolverines! All right, anyway.
I'd buy that for $1.
Good quote. Anyway, the next game, this is one of my personal favorites. I designed this one. It's ASLC. Now, it's Advanced Squad Leader Catan. Now, little tidbit for this I have is World War II squad-level action fought in the farmlands, forest, pastures, mountains, hills, deserts, and the interesting wild sections of Catan. Can you imagine wargaming that out?
I can't, but maybe you can. And
anything can happen in the wild.
I guess since the game has hexes, it's just begging for a war game to be designed.
ASLC, man. Multi-Mind Publishing will probably drop the ball. Never mind.
How about buying Catan? See, instead of getting resources when dice are rolled, we're going to auction them off. I mean, they add an auction expansion to Dune. Why not add an auction expansion here? well, let's just auction it off. I got one wood here. How much are you gonna give me? I'll give you $2, and just go on. Auctions are pretty much in every Euro game, aren't they?
Yeah.
So why not?
It's just standard. All right, the next game I designed was Breakout Catan. One of my favorite games is Breakout Normandy, so I did Breakout Catan. Basically, this game concentrates on the initial buildings and subsequent breakout attempts of the longest road. Because, we're all trying to build that longest road. And if whoever can break out away from everybody else and just go, you know what I'm saying?
Isn't that from Tron?
Tron, that's a great movie.
All right. My next one is...
Yes, no.
Catan, 2000 BC to 2030 AD. It takes 27 hours to play it.
But it's not bad, though.
It's the ultimate civilization game. You start with Catan in the earliest stages, and by the time you're done, you're building these metropolises and stuff. It takes a really long time, but I heard it's really fun. And there are people who argue whether you should play Catan, 2000 BC to 2030 AD, or Advanced Catan, 2000 BC to 2030 AD, and both have their critics and write really long-winded arguments on the web. It's really interesting.
Now, does that come with is that with is that one going to come with the tile? I mean, with the chits, or is it going to come with the plastic pieces?
It comes with 40,000 tiles.
40,000?
40,000 counters, double-sided.
Oh, double-sided, 40,000. That's great, man. That won't cost that much to make. All right, the next one I did was Catan D.
Day.
I'm not French, man. All right, it says up to 8 players can race the tracks of Catan's many roads. Because, when a game of Catan is done, Settlers, you look and there's all these roads all over the place. Just make a game out of it.
That's true.
Think about it.
Do you roll different dice depending what gear you're in?
Right. And then
you have to trade resources?
But before that, there's a little expansion you can get where you build your cars. You got to have X amount of wood, because you start off with a wood car like the Flintstones. But then, you can trade it in for the ore, and, eventually you can get yourself a motor
Sounds
racer.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, Monsters Ravage Catan is next. Everyone loves that game. Everyone controls this Uber robber, and you walk around and you're just stomping around, destroying it, smashing things down, and you want to destroy the most opponent's cities.
That's pretty simple. And then my next one's The Longest Road. This is, if you've seen The Longest Day, the monster war game, this is a monster tactical level war game depicting the Catan universe, the invasion, the takeover, just war in Catan. It's a monster game. It takes up about 2 pool tables. So that's, it comes with 7,900 resource cards. So
okay, so you need your own shelf just for this game.
There's a lot of resource cards.
My next game is Betrayal at Catan, where we have Cthulhu and Catan. Players must figure out why certain crops stopped harvesting, why the robber disappeared, and just what weird things haunt the roads at night. This is a horror-themed game. I mean, there's such a huge base of people who like horror games. Here you go, right up your alley.
Now, I'm surprised I beat you this one, Tom. I'm talking to Avalon Hill and Hasbro right now. Axis and Allies Catan. It's Axis and Allies. It's the 6th game in the franchise. Avalon Hill is attempting to meld the great schism of gamers, war and Euro games. The war gamers, the Euro gamers, they're going to meld them together. Axis and Allies Catan. Doesn't that sound great?
I'd buy that for $2. I think that sounds interesting.
Right.
But this one, the company Cranium made the Seafarer's Party Game. I mean, come on. Party games is where it's at. Sculpt the largest army. Be the first to know Catan trivia. Everything from one party game. Pictionary. Categories. It's all there with Catan flavor.
Okay.
And they sell it at Barnes & Noble's, and you can also play it at your local Starbucks.
Only exclusive for like 6 months, and then they'll sell it in Toys R Us. All right. I thought I'd dabble into Euro games, because I'm not really good at it. So I got Princes of Catan. Now, this game involves developing medieval and Renaissance cities, because, there's no games about medieval and Renaissance cities or the Mediterranean Ocean, for that matter.
I don't own any. I've never even heard of any.
Do
they exist?
You develop the cities, you attract various professions, which enriches the cities culturally while avoiding the dreaded plague.
Sounds fun. My next one is Lord of Catan. I mean, come on. Jump on the marketing craze. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. We'll have Star Wars themed Catan. We'll have Lord of the Rings themed Catan, where you have to move the ring into the certain tile. We'll have the Matrix Catan. We'll have Spider-Man Catan. It's just exciting. Just slap a franchise on it, makes it a good game.
How about Ghetto Catan?
Ooh, and that would be controversial. And then, once the game was banned, then it would sell for $400 on eBay.
Another thing, we're going to avoid yellow pieces because we know that's also controversial. For all you war gamers out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, we got one more.
Oh, and then my last one was, you got to have one solitaire game. So I got Ambush, Catan. Now this is the Ambush system. This is the new expansion. It's a solitaire game of combat adventure, heroism, and World War II Catan.
Do you trade with yourself?
No.
I don't. It just seems weird.
No, you have a table that you use, and you turn in X amount of cards, and then you slide the little card thing through the folder, and it'll tell you what happens, how many the guy trades in return.
Well, we've made this up obviously as a bit of humor, but I would like to say that I really do think that Klaus Tuber is a genius for taking one game and making a franchise out of it. And each of the games he's made, like the Settlers of Catan card game, tremendous game. Starfarers of Catan, tremendous game. Each game that's a part of this system, I think, has been clever enough to not be just a follow-up of the game.
My wife and I, we like the Settlers of Catan card game. I like it with the expansions. It's alright. I mean, it's kind of girly, but excuse the expression. I'm sorry. It's not very manly.
But Joe does like Starfarers.
Yeah, I do like Starfarers. I like the bits.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a bit.
This episode of the Dice Tower is brought to you by Days of Wonder. Their newest game is Colosseum, where you play the role of a Roman impresario, producing great spectacles in the hopes of attracting the most spectators to your arena. Learn more at www.daysofwonder.com.
Joe and me were talking earlier about number 2 movies. What did you say about that?
What was what's your bet? This is off topic, so I mean.
Oh yeah, this is our off topic section of the show.
Section because
you can fast forward a couple minutes if you don't want to hear it.
What are the best number 2 movies? Like for instance, sequels, right? What sequels are better than their originals?
Well, I have mine. You want to hear them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I wrote down 4, and you'll disagree with all 4 of these. I like Ghostbusters 2 better.
Oh, come on.
I love the Statue of Liberty. It was hilarious.
It was stupid. Have you seen this?
Oh, I'm sorry. The first Ghostbusters was not stupid?
No, come on. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man would kick the Statue of Liberty's tail.
All right. Well, I still like it. My other one, Superman 2. Now, that one you can't argue with. Superman 2.
Oh, Superman 2 was... Have you watched it lately?
Yes, I have.
Watched
it's cheesy, but the first one was just as cheesy.
But the first one was, like, cool because they had the grandma and grandpa and the old house out in Smallville and all
General Zod. Come on.
Flying through space in a gigantic mirror.
I've always wanted to do that. My third one is Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure.
Now that, I definitely disagree.
Well...
Have you watched that lately?
You know why I like Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure
Because there's board games in it.
Because there's board games in it. When they have a chance to play death and anything, they pick Battleship. Now, personally, if it was me, I think I would say Tigers and Euphrates. Come on, right now, Death. Tigers and Euphrates, he'd be going down.
I would take him on in a monster war game because I'd probably get another 2 or 3 weeks of life.
He'd give up. I can't move this.
All right, Death, we're playing Atlantic Wall.
And then the third one is Gremlins 2. I like Gremlins 2 better. It was absolutely silly and retarded, but so was the first one.
Oh man, I see you missed you missed some of the best ones. Number 1, Empire Strikes Back. Even though it's not technically episode number 2 anymore, it was still the best number 2 movie.
No, I still like Return of the Jedi better. I know I'm in a minority
it's because you like the little fuzzy Ewoks.
No, it's not because I like the Ewoks. It's because I like the Ewoks. No, I like Jabba's palace.
I hate the Ewoks. It's so unrealistic. These little fuzzy Ewoks are taking on the Imperial Stormtroopers, the creme of the crop of the Imperial forces, and anyway.
Do you got any other ones?
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. I like Rocky 2 better than Rocky 1.
Yeah, I guess. It's always good to see someone win.
He actually won, right? I mean, Rocky 1 had all the drama, but Rocky 2 had the good fighting. And let's see what else. Die Hard 2 was pretty good. I like Die Hard 1, though. I think I'm sensing a theme here. It seems like I like the guy kind of movies. I don't know.
I like the geek movies. All right. Well, while Joe thinks a little bit, it's now time for my part of the show called Tom's Rant, where I rant about something in the board gaming world. Maybe someday I'll rant about something else even. But my rant today is people who have agendas against games. Now, I understand that some people don't like certain games. There are games Joe doesn't like. There are games I don't like. Joe, tell us what you like about diplomacy.
That it's evil.
Shut up. See, what I'm doing here, I don't care what he says. I don't care if he likes the game. I just say it's dumb. Well, that's stupid. And there are people on the internet who do that. If you don't like a game, that's fine. And someone says they like it, I don't have a problem with someone saying, I don't like the game. That makes sense. But there are some people I see who every time a certain game is mentioned, they have to jump on the bandwagon and they say things to the extent of, I don't understand why people like this game. Well, so what? If you don't understand it, too bad. People like it. I personally have a hard time understanding why people like some games, but so what? They like them. And so maybe, for example, Ticket to Ride. Every time there's a discussion about Ticket to Ride, someone has to chime in and say, I don't understand what the big deal is about the game.
Good point.
It just doesn't do anything for me. Shut up. I don't understand why everyone likes Carcassonne. Shut up. I don't understand why people play war games. Shut up.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people play the blood-sucking, money-sucking Magic the Gathering. Shut up. All right, I said shut up to a lot of different people right now. If you have an agenda against a game, if you have an agenda against a game, that's just stupid. Stop being so negative. Find the games you like and promote them, and stop always looking on the internet and trying to find games you don't like and saying negative things against them.
No, Tom.
And that's my rant for the day.
Tom, from now on, if you have an issue with me, just tell me to my face. Don't wait till we're on the radio.
Yeah, a lot of my rants may secretly have Joe in the background.
Oh, come on.
All right, we have our controversial topic for the week, and we won't get too in-depth in this because I'm not an expert. Maybe Joe thinks he is, but
I'm not.
this is something that we do argue about at many times, and that's Games Workshop, who makes Warhammer 40K. They make
Lord of the Rings and Warhammer Fantasy.
Right. They make a lot of miniatures, and I have a problem with their marketing. Now,
Why don't you explain it?
first of all, part of my problem with their marketing is I don't like the fact that they're constantly raising prices. I think they charge outrageous prices, and I know they do it because they have almost a monopoly in their field and because they have a bunch of crack-addicted people who buy anything they put out. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that they drove online stores almost some of them out of business because they said in America that you could not sell their product online. Now, I know that DW Tripp, who is a very prominent local game store owner, disagrees with me on this, but I think while that may be good business sense, I think it's unethical, and I think it alienates a lot of people from your company.
I think you're full of garbage, Tom.
Did you see Joe's...
I'm a Republican, man. It's their company. They can do what they want with it.
I understand that you can do what they want, and I'm not saying that anyone should stop them. I'm saying they should stop themselves. I'm saying that it's wrong.
Right. They're making a decision that makes them the most money and guarantees that they're going to sell their stuff. And it helps the brick-and-mortar places. Right?
But it hurts it overall. It hurts
How
people
does it hurt
like
it
me
overall?
who orders things offline, and now my prices have gone up by 20-25%. Now, I don't buy the game, but if I did, I would be even more upset. I'm not even that upset. I just think it's what they're doing is a crime.
I think it's a good idea. I mean...
would you like it if all the board game companies started doing
Well,
it?
Columbia Games does this.
They do.
And I don't have a problem with that. You can if they don't really do that, they'd make it so you can only buy games through them. Right?
Which eliminates the 30-40% discounts of online stores.
And eliminates the company going out of business, too. I mean, they
I
can't...
don't see Days of Wonder and Fantasy Flight Games going out of business because they're selling theirs through online stores.
Oh, come on. It's apples and oranges. My favorite expression.
Yeah, it's an expression when you don't know what to say.
Hey,
apples and oranges.
Well, let Games Workshop do what they want. I mean, hey, if people want to complain about them all they want, I mean, but they're still selling their product, right?
That's true. And I guess the pat response is, I don't have to buy their stuff.
No, you don't.
And guess what?
You don't.
I don't.
And I don't buy their stuff either. I buy it off eBay. And besides, there's still Neil's War Store, right?
Yeah, I just think their policy is wrong. And I hope it does not spread into the board gaming world. I hope other companies don't start doing that.
Yeah, didn't you hear that Mayfair is doing this?
Yeah. All right. Well, someone said something online about us running out of top 10 lists eventually. We have dozens and dozens of ideas for top 10 lists. And
we'll never run out of
We're just
top
doing
10s.
the big ones first. Eventually we'll do top 10 lists of people who say we don't know.
We'll do a top 10 of our top 10 list.
The All-Star Joe Top Show.
What was the
we'll
top
just play
10
clips
list
from
that
all our different shows.
The Dice Tower ever did, right?
I like that name.
Dice Tower?
I think we'll make it to the fourth show with that name.
Maybe so. Unless someone has a big problem with us. And maybe there's a board game company.
Speaking of people with problems, only one person has emailed me and said they don't like my avatar. So I'm going to keep my spinning dice avatar.
Man, so you guys dropped the ball, man.
Well, Joe didn't even email me.
You said I couldn't. You said you wouldn't count mine.
That's true. I did.
Why would I email you when you live right over there next door just about?
All right. So this time our top 10 game list is our top 10 games with components. When you buy a game, the biggest bang for your buck, you open up and you go, wow.
We're
not talking about Chia Pass games. We're not talking about games that when you open them up and you say, where's the game? It's just a sheet of paper and some counters.
Yeah.
We're talking about games that look, feel, and are just generally good. So we're going to start off with our honorable mentions because there's so many different games.
We don't have a soundbite for our top 10. We got to get at least one soundbite for our top 10.
I don't.
Give me that scumbag one.
I could do some more dice. Dice is cool.
No, give me the scumbag.
Scumbag? See? Oh, man, those are cool dice.
Do the scumbag.
Scumbag?
What's your name, scumbag?
And it's time for our top 10. No one has sent us any custom audio things, so we just have to...
So if you don't like our little stipbits, too bad.
They don't like our tidbits.
Stipbits, not tidbits.
Anyway. Honorable mentions for game components. There was a lot of games. It was hard to think of 10, but I did think of 10. But I wanted to mention that every single game that Eagle Games makes, every single game that Days of Wonder makes, and every game that Fantasy Flight Games has made in the last year and a half or 2 years, I think every single one of those gets an honorable mention, even if I don't mention them today.
See, he's saying honorable mentions. He's taking away some of the games I'm going to talk about. But
that's why I only briefly mentioned them.
I'll do the same thing. One of my honorable mentions is War of the Ring, which I'll let you talk about later. And another one is the clicks. And I'm talking about Hero Clicks, Sports Clicks, what's the other one? Mage Knight.
You know what? I'm thinking that Joe's right there. I think that with these collectible miniature games, they found that pre-painted miniatures actually works.
It does. I mean, the lazy miniature players or teenagers for that matter can
not
go out and buy
lazy necessarily, but people who don't know how to paint, like me.
Like you, right?
All right, here we go. Number 10. My number 10 game with components is Geist. You may not have heard of Geist. I wrote a review about it. Joe's not a big fan of the game because it's really very, very mathematical.
You got to have a doctor's degree in mathematics.
Fibonacci numbers and such, but I really like it, and the components were great. Huge poker chips of many different colors with imprints on them. The pieces were just beautiful. The whole board looks gorgeous, like a big checkerboard with glossy. There's a little color form type ghost you can stick on it. For an independent publisher, it's just an amazing production they put out.
It reminds me of a Camaro I used to own. It looked really great, but when you got in it, took off, it just was horrible.
I think it's a good game, but I will admit that there is a lot of math involved.
Anyway, my number 10 is a sentimental favorite. I imagine a lot of you have never heard of it. It's called King Oil. Now, this is an old family American game, but it's got these cool little oil drigs that you stick into the game board, and they pop up according to how much oil you find. If you've played this game before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's great. I love the bits. They got these little oil rigs that you stick all over the map, and the board itself is you rotate it, so it's different each time you play it to see whether you can strike oil or not. I guess it wouldn't be very politically correct game nowadays when you can make King Oil Alaska the expansion. But I like it. It's a sentimental favorite.
All right, my number 9 is Java. Once you play with the big fat tiles in Java, you never want to go back. They're just so big and fat and chunky.
What'd you call me?
I called you big and fat and chunky. Drink your Java.
Oh, I know some other radio hoster. Never mind.
Don't go there. Now, Java, though, of all the Rio Grande games and Euro games I played, it has the coolest tiles. It's a very beautiful board. I think Tikal and Mexica are also very beautiful, but Java just topped them all.
Java, the one that gives you the brain cramps when you play it.
Yeah, it's very, very analysis
paralysis, right? All right, number 9 for me is HeroScape. I can't believe this didn't make your list, Tom. This is a great game, man.
Look at number 7, Joe.
Oh, never mind. Oops. I guess I should read the notes. Now, HeroScape, and you know what? I'm going to let Tom talk about it when it gets to his turn.
Okay. My number 8 is Reef Encounter. It's a new game, and Joe was a little surprised that I put it on my list, but I picked it because I think it's just an absolutely gorgeous game. Beautiful, and I find it amazing with this game as with all his games, with Richard Brees and his company. All his games, every tile in this game has unique artwork on it. Now, I personally wouldn't have gone to all the trouble. I would have stamped the same coral picture on all of them, but they're all different, and so when you put it down, it's just really, really, really pretty.
I like the little shrimp.
And it has the really cool shrimp wooden pieces with the little beady eyes on them.
Yeah. Other than that, it's a cool game. It's got good confrontation. All right. Next for me is Game of Thrones and the expansion.
First of 2 expansions.
Yeah, they're coming out another expansion. That's really cool. I like the game. I like the little cardboard sword. You know, we always every time we play, maybe you're the same. Every time we play, we're like stabbing each other during the whole game.
Well, that's actually rather literal. It's one of the few games that Joe and I we're hoping that we sit as far apart as possible.
Oh man! Every time we play that game, I roll over Tom, or he rolls over me. He kills me. And everyone else just kind of benefits from our mutual.
Yeah, I learned my lesson. One time, I had Joe on the ropes, and I felt sorry for him, and and then Joe destroyed me. That game is almost as bad as Diplomacy, but I do like it, and it is a good component.
The bits are cool too. I like the cards, the artwork on the cards, and I'm a fan of the books. Even though the books are kind of crass, I guess that's the best way to put it. I like the books.
Well, I just read somewhere that someone started reading the books because they played the game. So it happens a lot. My number 7, as we've already said, is HeroScape. My only problem with HeroScape is it's hard to store. The box it came in, I couldn't put it back in. I have it all stored in a drawer. But the terrain pieces for it are just absolutely really, really impressive. It's amazing. The interlocking terrain.
The terrain, I've used those for miniature gaming before.
HeroScape's just incredible, and I'm so excited to know that there's already some expansions out and even more coming. And
if you on sale in the States,
read my interview with Rob Daviau this coming Sunday, and he talks some more about some of the upcoming expansions and Hot Lava Death.
Hot Lava Death.
Hello. No, I think it's more like Hot Lava Death.
Hello, everybody.
Number 7, Joe.
Yes.
Number 7.
We're just wannabes. Oh, I'm sorry. Number 7, another old one, but another great one, Omega Virus. Come on, Tom, give me your Omega Virus quote. Do you remember it?
You will die because I don't care about any of you. I hate... Isn't that what it says, the whole game?
It says, yeah, it's great. It's a up to a 4-player game, and you're on a space station. It's a huge box, but it's thin. It's a huge, thin box. And you're 4 different colors. You're trying to take over the space station. It's almost like a game where you work together, but at the same time you're not working together, right? You're trying to beat the virus.
You're not working together at all.
Yeah, you're all working against the computer who's taken over a virus that's taken over the computer, but at the same time you're competing with each other.
It's stupid. I played the game and I thought, a logical deduction game, and it's not. I don't care how logical you are. The computer cheats. The computer moves stuff. The computer runs you out of time.
You just are mad because you can't beat a 1990s something, early 90s 2-bit computer chip.
Yes, that irritates me greatly.
Mr. Mastermind.
Now we have one of 2 days, for my number 6, we have one of 2 Days of Wonders games that made the list, although I think they're all tremendous. But it's Memoir 44. I really like the fact that I didn't have to twist the little soldiers off sprues. Other companies take note. That made me so happy that my thumb and index finger were not all beat up and bruised, and I didn't have to use nail clippers, etc. But beyond that, it just looks really cool. I like the fact that they made the board so you can attach them together, how they have a double-sided board, how everything fit in the box, the cards, the little racks to put the cards on. They're not necessary, but Days of Wonder does top-notch production, and Memoir is right up there.
I want to get those metal ones that Eric had. He showed us. Remember those?
Eric Haldeman, the president of Days of Wonder, he showed us a prototype. We actually got to play it.
He flew to Korea just to see me and Tom.
Yeah, and he showed us his prototype. And so as we were telling him whether he should
we
do it or
the
not.
Inside scoop.
No, but he showed us his prototype and had all these metal miniatures. It was really cool.
It was really cool. We set up. We set up in a restaurant. No, it was a bakery. We set up the game in a bakery.
And I was eating grape bread. I remember that.
And we played this Memoir 44 in a restaurant in Korea. First time, it was cool. Anyway, number 6 for me, and Tom says I'm taking a cop out here.
He is taking a cop out.
Eagle Games.
Games, top 10 games, and we have games as one category.
All right. Well, of the Eagle Games, I really like the attack and the expansion. I like the little classic bits.
Of all the Eagle Games, I think Sid Meier's Civ has the coolest pieces.
Yeah, it's got cool pieces too. But they did a good job, and you can't argue. You can say what you want about Eagle Games, but I've never heard anyone criticize them for their bits.
That is true. My number 5 game, Joe hasn't played yet, and I keep forgetting to get him to play it because it's a really fun game. Return of the Heroes, made in Italy, and now it's coming here to America in some small doses. It's really, really fun. You have these large interlocking tiles. It's kind of like Magic Realm, but very, very simplistic. but it's beautiful. The whole board is beautiful, beautiful graphics, cool pieces, little wooden cubes. I like it a lot.
I like
Another cop-out.
Number 5 for me is the Mission Command series.
They
of the
do
Mission Command, I like the land one the
They
best.
do have some nice pieces.
The land one's best because they got the little helicopters and little tanks, and I sit there and play with them like I'm a little boy again. But I like, say what you want about the games themselves, but the bits are cool.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know what to say about the games. Mission Command Land really irritates me.
Why?
Just the sheer luck of it sometimes.
It's supposed to be like, there's some skill in there.
Yeah, there's luck in all three of them, but I think the best one's Mission Command C. And
Yeah.
it has those cool aircraft carriers.
Yeah, Mission Command Air is by far the luckiest, I would say.
Well, Anyway. My number 4 is Mystery of the Abbey, another Days of Wonder game. Has a little bell you can ring, and it has beautiful... I mean, the thing about Mystery of the Abbey that cracks me up is that the sheets where you check off which abbey killed people, they're in full glossy color. I feel bad for writing on them. They look so good. But the whole board looks good. It's beautiful artwork. Now, when I get my Shadows of the Camelot game, which should be coming any day or week now, I'm sure that may surpass it. It may have even made it onto this list. But for now, Mystery of the Abbey is their neatest
When
game.
you said you had 2 Days of Wonder games, I thought for sure you were going to say Queen's Necklace. Because I know that you sport that necklace at school sometimes. Right?
My necklace is broken.
Maybe Eric will send you a new replacement.
Please don't, Eric.
Go ahead. He's being humble. He really wants one. Anyway, my number 4 is another cop-out.
Good night.
The Axis and Allies family of games, which would include, even maybe more so, the whole Game Master series, Shogun, Fortress America. Just there's so many bits.
Oh, I guess my number 3 is all games ever made. Can I do that?
Oh, come on. Most of you Eurogamers, you can't even differentiate between the different Axis and Allies anyway, can you?
I can. Axis and Allies Europe, Axis and Allies Pacific, Axis and Allies D-Day. There's only 4. Axis and Allies Revised, 5.
And don't forget Axis and Allies Catan.
And Axis and Allies Miniatures, so that's 7.
Yes.
Man, I can't wait to play the Axis and Allies Catan.
That's going to be kick butt, dude.
Yeah, all right.
Can I say butt on radio?
No. Number 3 is Twilight Imperium 3. The hugest, biggest, mostest, the biggest ever,
Don't you know?
box, and inside it's just full of components. When I'm dead, I'm gonna be buried in the Twilight Imperium 3 box, and it's just, the tiles are huge, the ships are cool, although some of them, if you step on them, they will break your...
The tiles are still not big enough to hold the whole army that I made.
But man, it's just full of bits.
But they ruined it with that Puerto Rico track thing.
I still love it.
Anyway.
In fact, I think we're going to play it in a couple weeks.
Oh, really?
Are we?
Why don't we play this game that's my number 3 instead? My number 3 game is Europe Engulfed. Oh, come on. If you like block games, man, this is a light World War II grand strategy game. We're using blocks, and it's just light enough to where it's not overly intensive with rules. It's good.
There's a big pile of blocks.
There's a lot of blocks. Remember when I got that in the mail? I opened up that bag, and it's like this big, 5-gallon bag of blocks, and it took me 3 hours to put all the stickers on them.
If you have questions for the designer of Europe Engulfed, send them to me because I'm currently interviewing him, and he's a...
Yeah, ask him this. Why did he not just pay some Chinese guys to put the stickers on for us?
Maybe I'll just go on to my number 2 game, which is War of the Ring. Joe put an honorable mention, and there are some people on the internet I notice who complain about, they'll say, my Nazgul can't stand up straight. I didn't notice that problem. If they didn't stand up straight, I would just bend them a little bit because it's soft plastic. Oh, they're great. Now, Joe says they all need to be painted.
And I started painting yours.
Which, for me, is a very difficult thing. But even unpainted, the game is... Wow.
You got to paint the bases at least.
Yeah, I think you should paint the bases, but it's just a tremendous game, and I'm so excited to see the new game coming out.
Yeah.
They're showing new models already, and I'm hoping against hope the Ents models will be in the game.
The Ents would be cool.
That would be cool.
Oh, okay.
Number 2.
My number 2, and I'm not going to take the cop out this time. It's Streets of Stalingrad, L2 games. It's the mega box game for... It's like the Twilight Imperium game for war gamers. It's huge.
But what makes the components so great?
Well, it's chits and a huge map and everything, but they're all revised. They're really good graphics. They're really bright and colorful. They're nice, big, huge zones to put your stuff in. It's kind of pricey, but it's well worth the money. And you know what? While I'm L2 games, is a fairly new war game company. They're just really doing a quality product with Bitter Woods and Russian Campaign. They're just, wow. I'm looking forward to anything they put out. I'll probably buy. And if you're listening, a discount would be nice. No, just kidding.
Great. Okay. Number one game. Now, this one may surprise some people, but for me, it just really has cool components. I first saw it when I went to a mall. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was walking through a mall, and I saw this 3-dimensional game of Star Wars Queen's Gambit. And it just really blew me away because it looked absolutely amazing. And I didn't get a chance to play it until about a year later. I said, I'm going to order that game. And it was a pretty fun game, but I could not deny just how cool those pieces were. You set up the board, the 3 levels of the Queen's Palace, and regardless of what you think of the first movie, and some people dislike it, and I understand that, the game actually does depict the movie pretty accurately, and it really is a cool-looking game. Hands down, it's really cool.
It's a neat game. And I'm going to take a huge cop-out for my number one game.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm going to say that my number one game for components is miniatures.
Come on.
Well, okay, fine. I'll say, my number one game is for components would be like 40K. Or
40K.
40K.
$40,000.
Yeah, right. Or Mind Panzer.
Do you mean Warhammer
Baptism
40K?
of Fire, Coffins for Seven Brothers, Blitzkrieg Commander. These are all miniature rule sets that I play. But you can't argue with the bits of miniature games.
Here's how I would argue.
Say what you want. You walk into the room.
A small fortune for them.
So what?
We're talking bang for the buck here.
This is not something you go and buy overnight. It's a collection. You slowly build it up. You trade. You buy things off eBay and off the miniatures page and the different forums.
Didn't we say top 10 board games with components?
You never said board games. You said games.
That's not how I meant, board games.
Well, hey. I just gotta say, I don't care. You walk in the room, I got 200 games in my room, my war room. They walk in, they see the war games, they see the board games, they see the Euro games, and then they look over at the other counter and they see the miniatures, and they immediately go to the miniatures and they want to play the miniatures. Don't deny it; they're cool looking.
Okay.
Did you see the new, Starship Troopers miniatures?
No, I haven't.
Man, the bugs are so I'm just gonna buy a bunch of bugs. I don't want the game; I just want the bugs.
If anyone wants
I'm gonna paint them really nice and set them up all over my house like as an April Fool's joke. My wife will come home. They're about the size of about a baseball.
A softball.
A baseball. Well, if you spread their legs out, they're almost the size of a softball.
Okay. Well, I really like the book Starship Troopers, so maybe 1 out of 10 chance you can hook me into playing that.
If I play another Nizia game, then will you do it?
But you'll play the Nizia game anyway. It's Kinesia.
Kinesia, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's our top 10
Sneezy.
list for next week. Next week, we're going to make a top 10 reasons miniatures suck.
On that note, why don't we call it a night, man?
Well, yeah, I guess we should. Joe,
before I strangle you.
Did you want to say something about Ticket to Ride?
Yeah. Ticket to Ride is a great game, I guess, but Ticket to Ride blows. Ticket to Ride blows.
They're both really good games.
Oh, come on.
Them both.
They destroyed the game by adding new rules. Take the original and throw away the new.
I guess. Well.
Oh, you agree then?
No. I think they're both good. I'm just accepting Joe's fact that he's.
Do you like part 1 or part 2 better? Which one do you like better?
I think I like Europe a little better.
Why? It's
but it is newer.
Based.
It is newer.
There's no strategy.
It's not luck-based.
It's like a 5-player solitaire game.
Come on.
Let's get together and play solitaire next time. It's the same thing.
If you want us to talk about games that you're interested in hearing about, send us questions, and we'll answer them online.
Please send Tom some questions. He's getting sick of listening to talk about war games.
And if you have ideas for the show, comments and criticism, we'll probably ignore most of the criticism, but we actually do read it, all of it.
Was it Mike Fitzgerald? He says don't listen to the criticism.
Yeah, he did. And Mike has a tremendously good experience at such things. But we do searches on the internet, like who listened to the show. And
like 3 people, so.
Yeah, so we like to thank the couple and their kid who listens to the show, and so on and so forth. But
we are rated G.
We are rated G, or we try to be rated G. We want to make this family-friendly. We also want to make it all about board games and occasionally some off-topic stuff thrown in. If you don't like it...
sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll do our best to make everybody like it, but hey.
And until next time, this is Tom Vasel,
Joe Steadman,
and we're sitting together inside the Dice Tower. And that's it for this time, folks. I hope you really enjoyed the show. A couple comments about it. I really thought that the quality of this show was a little bit lower than actually it is now. We kind of rambled a lot, and so we're still trying to find a groove, as you can tell in this show. Still trying to figure out what we want. We know we have the top 10 things settled. We know we want to do reviews of games in the show, and we knew we want to do questions. Other than that, we were kind of toying around. What segments do we want to do? You could sense that Joe's starting to get a shtick. We're starting to get a back-and-forth chemistry. And, we'll see. One thing that was important at the end is we mentioned that we are a G-rated show, family-friendly. We've kept that all the way up till now. I plan to always keep that. That's one thing I find very important. I want the show to be able to be listened to by anyone and not have a problem. Well, anyway, don't forget to enter our Battle Lore contest. And it's for all 4 of the expansions for Battle Lore, all 4 of the army packs, and so I really hope you enter that. All you have to do is send us an email at thedicetower@gmail.com and let us know what army you would like to see next. I already have dwarves and goblins. What army would you like to see after the dwarves and goblins? Anything you want, just send it to us and you'll have an entry in the contest. I also want to highly encourage you to go to BoardGameGeek.com and go to the Dice Tower Guild. There's lots of discussions there nowadays. We'd love for you to enter them and join us there. Well, that's it for this time. This is Tom Vasel, hoping you enjoyed a look in the past. We'll see you next week for episode 105.
Thanks for listening to The Dice Tower. Join us next week for episode 105, in which we talk about our top 10 card games. We'd also like to thank Days of Wonder for their sponsorship of this episode of The Dice Tower. Days of Wonder makes great games for just about everyone. From the Spiel des Jahres winning Ticket to Ride, which is the perfect gateway game to get anyone involved in gaming, to the medieval epic fantasy game, Battle Lore. Please visit them at www.daysofwonder.com.